Hi, Tiera. I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. So lovely to meet you virtually.
Yeah, you as well.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. Maybe you could just kick off with a bit of an introduction to Two Hearts. What's this story all about, and what can people expect when they see the film?
Yeah, absolutely. Two Hearts is, it's funny, I filmed it so long ago that I'm like, what is it about? Two Hearts is a film. It's it kind of follows the journey of two couples, and you get to see their love story, but and how their lives intertwine in a way that you would never expect. It's hopeful, it's heartbreaking, it's beautiful, and it's at the heart of it. It's this really beautiful, love story between these two couples, these four people.
And I understand it's based on a true story, in fact. So, what attracted you to being part of this project to bring this true story to the big screen, and in particular to your character of Sam?
Yeah, I always find when I get scripts that come my way that say that they're based on a true story, it always adds this element of, you know, it makes everything feel a bit more important. It adds this levity to the project. And for me, I find that very interesting and inspiring because I get to, walk in the shoes of somebody who's gone through this. And you want to do it justice. You want to honor what they're doing. And for me, I find it just really adds this depth to the character when I play something, someone who's real. And so for that alone, I was interested. And then, I hadn't heard of the story prior to reading the script. And so once I, read the script and I researched more about it, it was such a beautiful story and so inspiring that I was like, oh, I would love to tell this story. Like, I feel like people need to hear stories like this right now, especially.
And were you able to meet any of the real life people, or was this quite a long time ago? I'm not even sure.
No, while we were filming, I got the opportunity to meet Chris's parents while we were in Hawaii, which was really, really wonderful. I remember I didn't actually know they were going to be there. And then they just like walked up. We were in Hawaii having a lunch and they just like walked up to the table and introduced themselves. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, hi. And then, yeah, we got the opportunity to talk to them and, you know more about Chris and everything through them. And it was such an incredible experience.
And you've got an incredible on-screen chemistry with Jacob. So what was it like in particular working with him, but also the rest of the cast, which sort of eventually you all do come together, even though you're on these separate narratives for most of the film. So what was it like working mainly with Jacob, but also the rest of the cast?
It was great. Jacob and I got along really well right away, and we knew that we were going to be working very intimately and closely with each other over the course of filming the movie. And so, I don't know, I feel like we were both just like very easygoing people. And our energies got along really well with each other. And we just, yeah, we had a lot of fun. It was like summer camp. We were filming in Vancouver in the middle of summer and we were all there every single day. And then we got to go to Hawaii together for 2 weeks, which was crazy. But it was a blast. I still live in Vancouver. We filmed the majority of it in Vancouver, and Jordan, who played Jacob's brother, and I have become really close, and we see each other quite often, both being in Vancouver. But yeah, the cast was amazing. We all had so much fun. Like, even those days where it was like very emotional and heavy, just knowing that we had like created this bond and we were doing it for the purpose of telling the story of what happened to these people, we really, really got close and relied on each other a lot.
Mm. And there is a real contrast throughout the film. There's so many moments of just like sort of pure joy and happiness, but also some really challenging scenes. So what were some of the highlights and perhaps some of the more difficult moments for you as an actress?
Yeah, it was, filming in Hawaii was definitely a highlight. That was incredible. Like, that was what an experience. Even though I honestly didn't really do a whole lot while I was in Hawaii. I had like 3 scenes. But, there was a lot of really heartbreaking scenes that were really hard where we were filming, finding out some really difficult information and just really putting myself in the position of remembering that this happened to someone, that this was real. and it was hard. You know, there was days where I left and I was like, oh, like I have to let this go because I'm going back to my life. But to remember that these people went through this, um, it was hard. There was definitely a lot of hard days, but there was a lot of really fun days where we were like cliff jumping in Hawaii. So it was definitely a contrast of the two filming this movie.
Mm. And there's definitely kind of, references made to kind of sort of a faith-based aspect to the film. Was that something that really chimed with your own feelings and beliefs? And do you think that's also a core part of the film for people to take away from it?
Yeah, I think, anybody who, I don't believe in in a specific religion, but I do believe in energies and spirits. And I think what's really beautiful is this story connects people, and whether for whatever reason that happens, um, I think it shows hope. And I think at the core of any religion and any belief system, there's hope and there's connection. And I think that this movie really, really showcases the two in a way that's, not doesn't normally happen. And I think it is a really important aspect of this film. And I think it's the reason that people get so drawn to it and get so emotionally invested, and why in the end it's heartbreaking, but you leave feeling like full circle. Like you feel like you went through this journey with these people, and you can see the healing and the recovery and the beautiful aspects of life and death.
Mm. And that's it. I think you sort of hit upon it there, but it does tackle some tricky topics head on, but there is an overwhelming sense of hope and optimism. So, is that what you hope people will take away from the film? And just wondering if it has additional resonance, in this time that is coming out right now, with lots of people having to say goodbye to loved ones and, dealing with really challenging circumstances, but hopefully coming through the other side of it still with a sense of hope for the future.
No, absolutely. I think that is exactly what I hope people will take from it. And I hope that, they're left feeling like even in the darkest of times, there's a silver lining, even though it's hard to see. But also I think, organ donation is not something that's hugely on people's radar. I know it certainly wasn't on mine when I hadn't put it on my driver's license or anything. Like I wasn't aware of it so much when I booked it, until I had, right before I booked it, a friend of mine's mom had passed away and she had donated her organs. And it was like this beautiful, hopeful thing for my friend to know that her mom was continuing on, giving people life. And then I booked this project and I was like, whoa, this is very weird. And for me, I was like, this is something that I want people to know more about. So that there's that aspect of it as well. It's like it makes people more aware of something that I think is hugely important.
Mm. And obviously, the downside of releasing a film in the middle of, excuse me, in the middle of a pandemic is, people not being able to see it on the big screen as it was intended. But there's also the flip side that lots of people are at home looking for things to watch. And so it can also find maybe a bigger audience that way from people finding it online. So how does it seem to you to be putting a film out at this moment in time?
Well, it actually did come out in theaters in Canada and the States in October.
Okay.
I remember I went to see it with like a group of friends before, our restrictions got a lot more controlled, what we were here in Canada, to keep things safe. And I remember going to see it, and there was nobody in the theater. Being in the theater was so strange. And it's a beautiful movie that works really well on the big screen, but it's also one of those movies that you can like curl up on the couch and have this like cry feel good film, and watch it with your your significant other or your family, or whoever you're locked in your house with. But I do think that having it be on, everybody's at home watching stuff like you said, and I think having it be accessible for everybody right now is perfect. Yeah, I think it'll do very well.
And I think watching some of the seeing some of those amazing locations, I don't know, seem to hit home even more. But, when you're stuck in the house, those beautiful scenes in Hawaii, and, certainly when they go back in time, for the other love story, everything just looks so beautiful. And there's a kind of escapist notion to it as well, isn't there? To kind of like remember being in, being able to go on holiday and be in other places.
Yeah, being somewhere warm. I'm like looking outside my dreary window in Vancouver, and I'm like, yeah, Hawaii was nice.
And what can you tell us about what you might be working on next? If you hope pandemic hasn't interrupted your work too much, but do you have other projects in the pipeline?
Yeah, I um, there's 3 more episodes of my show Nurses coming out on NBC every Tuesday night. So that's exciting. It's season 1. We filmed season 2 during the pandemic, actually. And so that'll be coming out some point soon-ish. I don't know. I will let people know once I know. And then Riverdale season 5. So,
Oh,
yeah.
very exciting. Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that with me, and congratulations on this wonderful film. And I hope lots of people do get to see it, and, eventually in the cinema here, if they ever reopen. So lovely to speak to you. Thanks so much, Tiera.